All right. So, uh, last video for today. I'm only going to do 3 videos today. I know. The past 3 days, I did 13 videos, my 13, including this one. Well, I did a video on communication, and I got an interesting response from somebody who really doesn't, who said that he doesn't necessarily get how people communicate. And let me tell you this. I completely understand you. People want honesty. First thing they reject is honesty. In fact, I know from myself, the minute I actually the minute somebody's being honest with me is the minute I start doubting every single word they say. I don't know if because we're not used to it or because inherently people, I don't know if people that are aware or people that are damaged or people that kind of like reached a certain threshold when it comes to life. I think they understand how honesty kind of like affects us and how a solid truth could actually move us and make us trust, believe, and all that stuff, which is literally the core of where evil starts from. Because most of the time you just believe people and then they end up lying. So when people are telling the truth, the first thing you're going to do is doubt that they are, because it's easier for you to like look at a liar and be like, oh, fuck you, man. Why should I give a fuck? But somebody that's telling you the truth means you actually have to engage with them. You actually have to like, that's where you can call yourself out, basically. You can be like, no, here you go, somebody's saying the truth. And I have a strong feeling this is how we kind of like lose ourselves in relationships when we don't really trust the other person. But I actually did a video where when I'm engaging with somebody, it's written here, I remember the video of it. It's the 3 modes of interacting. No, it's the 3 ways to assimilate with somebody. Because the first way is basically, I believe that you believe what you're saying is true, which practically says that I'm just engaging with you because I have time. If you think that's what you believe, fuck yeah, man. Believe it to be your truth. Power to you. I don't give a fuck. Fuck off. At least I don't think you're a liar. And the second one is me trusting you. Me trusting that you don't me trusting that what you're saying is the truth. So I'm completely looking at you in a way that this person is trustable. And whatever he's saying, I'm going to take it. This is the second way to assimilate. And the third way, which is my favorite, because the third way is when people are able to express themselves and to be able to show you that what they're talking about is their own truth. So for them, they don't doubt that it's the truth, but it's their truth. I think that's the beauty of reality. But so today's video, because we haven't started today's video, is, and I wrote this 4 pages ago, 5 pages ago, which means like about 12 videos before this. And the videos are how writing made me see how I couldn't understand myself. The video under it is Faith and My Morning Walk. That's a beautiful story I would want to share. Maybe I should just fucking do it today and make it 14 videos in 3 days. But communication and how writing made me see how I couldn't understand my own self. I really think that it's an ego thing. I think we look at ourselves and, okay, so here's the thing. My entire series, 270 plus, is a form of expression, specifically for me to be able to kind of like create some form of social proof of my existence, because I plan on doing something. I am doing something, and I plan on using YouTube as like the platform to do it. So I have to communicate well. I have to tell people what I want. Until now, 270 episodes, I'm not even close to being able to explain that. right? Because what happens in your head, you can understand it. But can you? See, here's the thing. I was once reading in French because I do that like daily for the fuck of it for practice. And it was amazing because in my head, I was reading perfectly. And then what I chose to do was speak out loud. And then I realized my accent fucking sucks. But when I'm reading silently in my head, I'm speaking like a proper fucking Frenchman. And at that moment, I came to a realization that, like, me and this body are completely separate. Yeah, let it sink in a bit. Let it sink in a bit. Me and this body are completely separate. Just like you have to train your hands for the guitar, you have to train your voice for singing. You also have to actively start kind of like training how you speak in order for your mind and your body to synchronize. So you get out, so you basically extract the ability that you're looking for, the skill that you're building. And communication, just like everything else, is a skill. But the first thing we do is what? Understand how we ourselves can communicate with ourselves. What am I fucking talking about? Yes, Tari, what are you talking about? I'm saying, like, you understand what's in your mind, yet when you're trying to explain it, it does not come out properly. Now, is that you not expressing yourself? You are expressing yourself. At least that's how I thought. It was like, I'm expressing myself. Why the fuck aren't you understanding? Because I'm expressing myself as an outcome of my own reality. That's the only thing I can actually see. And what I'm expressing is literally from my own words, from my own feelings. How can people understand my feelings that are mixed in between the thoughts that I'm actually expressing? When it came to it, I realized one thing that's fucking huge, that my mind communicates with me when I'm trying to communicate with them the same way I communicate with people. And maybe I should take a step back and like give you a second or something like this. But when I am trying to study something and I go like, yeah, I understood it. It's true. But when it comes to working, what I read in proper English documentation is not what my mind is explaining to me. It's explaining something completely different. It's trying to remember these words. It's trying to articulate what exactly we have to be doing, or what we could be doing, or what we should be doing. And that's because they lack the skill. My mind was only able to communicate this the way I can. So imagine my thought process was, how am I explaining to people what my thoughts are if I myself am not really understanding what they are when they're explained to me? Because I have the skill of explaining. I have to talk, I have to explain what's coming out of my head. And then before that, whatever is entering my head has to absorb it the best way it knows how. So there's a complete loss in all the energy that's being transferred simply because the articulation that's between me and myself doesn't really exist properly for me to be able to understand what I genuinely am trying to express. And so I'm saying this here is the communication, how writing made me see how I couldn't even understand myself. I once actually sat with myself, and that's a training exercise they give you in business. They go like, if you have an idea, you have to be able to explain it concisely on a piece of paper. And oh, what a fucking mess. And the more I wrote, the more I realized I'm lost, and I'm lost in my own idea. I couldn't accept it. Until one day I sat and I started asking questions. And the more questions I asked, the more I would explain my idea from completely different angles, which in my head, it made sense because all of them are combined with the feelings, with the sensations, with the visions, with the thought processes. But when it came time for my voice to speak, for my tongue to articulate, for my entire essence to be present and like be fully like in control of what's coming out of my head, what came out was something super lame. And then I'd feel bad and I don't know why. And the minute I started asking myself questions, I started realizing the way I explain these questions is in a way that only I could understand. And then when I'd read the question again and read my own answer, I'd realize how much my answer, even though in the moment was coming out exactly how I thought what was explaining things. And then suddenly it's like you can see that actually from my notes. Like anytime I write notes, I explain the context of the note. So at the very least, I'd be able to kind of like go back and use that time as a point of reference. It's very important. And I realized it's just like it goes all the way back to when what's his name? I think like not Socrates, Aristotle, when he said, "Know yourself." I think the truth behind it is get to know yourself. Any question you might assume people might ask about what you're trying to communicate, I think should be a question that we ask beforehand ourselves. And the more we explain things to ourselves, the more we understand how we're explaining, the more we understand how our thought process is being created, the more we understand what are the things that are interacting with us when it comes to the thoughts that we're trying to express, or ideas or feelings. We build a certain relationship with our mind, we build a certain relationship with ourselves. And then suddenly, once I know exactly what are the things that I love talking about and how to talk to them about, to talk about them, when it comes to people, they become very easy to express. I think that's the essence of communication. And I really think communicating with ourselves and truly being able, not understanding ourselves, understanding how we speak, understanding how we process, understanding how we think, understanding how we engage with ourselves in order to understand how we would want to use that with people. And that's a video. Yay!